Hi everyone, welcome to the Platinum Girl Celebrity Show where I give love advice to the stars and the everyday woman. I am your host, Vanessa Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. I am a dating coach for the book The Rules, Time-Tested Secrets for Capturing the Heart of Mr. Right by Ellen Fine and Sherry Schneider. This week's advice topic covers why a rules relationship is probably different from any other relationship that you've ever had, but in a really good way. A client contacted me this week and I have to say it was a phenomenal consultation. The reason why is because she was doing the rules very strictly in her relationship. So there really wasn't that much advice for me to give her except for just to keep encouraging her with what she was already doing. In fact, her relationship was going so well that she was a bit on edge. She was nervous that the shoe was going to drop and that something bad was going to happen. I let her know that this is commonplace in rules relationships. Women who are very strict about following the rules can't believe how great it is. They don't wonder where they stand. They always have dates. All of that nonsense that happens in those boundaryless relationships is not something that you're going to experience in your strict rules relationship. The only fear that women are left with is that they're nervous that the carpet is going to be yanked out from underneath their feet and that something bad is going to happen. So I reassured my client that she was perfectly on track and to probably expect a ring within the next 4 to 6 months because her relationship was happening exactly by the book. Another great aspect of the consult was that my client contacted me as soon as she had the fear. She didn't do something unrulesy like going and talking to the guy about her fears that the relationship was going too well. Instead, she booked a consult session with me just to make sure that we weren't missing any signs of possible trouble. And this is what's really crucial about doing the rules. All too often, the relationship will go off the rails, everything goes sideways, and then the woman contacts me wanting to do damage control. So even if I can fix it, lots of times there's still a lot of drama that happens in between then that she happens to regret. The moral of the story is don't be too freaked out when everything is going great in your rules relationship. It just means that you're doing them perfectly. Moving on to the celebrity gossip discussion, the most important post I wrote about this week was how Norman Reedus is dating Cecilia singly. If you haven't read the post yet, just a quick recap, there is speculation that they are dating. However, in separate occasions and speaking with the media, Norman said that he is quote-unquote so single, whereas Cecilia hinted at a relationship happening in her life right now. The point that I made deserves restating, and that is women should be just as vague about their dating situations as men are. But unfortunately, lots of times they aren't though. A woman might have a tendency to go off into fantasy land because maybe she's had a few great dates with a man and now she thinks that he's the one. And because she thinks that she's found someone, she'll stop dating all other men and only focus her attention on him. And trust me when I say that this is a big mistake. Even if you are seeing him every weekend and are 99.9% positive that he's not seeing anyone else, don't be so quick to think that you're exclusive because you might find out the hard way that you're actually not. And you also shouldn't think, oh, it's understood where we are, because that could be in your head. You don't want to find out the hard way after maybe you've been rejected or humiliated that the man never really thought of you two as being in a relationship and that you probably took it way more seriously than he ever did. The long and the short of it is that if a man wants a commitment, you will know. As for Norman and Cecilia, I don't have the best vibe about them lasting, which is fine. He's 20 years her senior. My only hope is that she's not taking this too seriously and that she doesn't get hurt. Up next is the Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling post that I wrote about. If you haven't read it, there are rumors circulating that the two have split, and it's for real this time. The surprising turn of events here is that throughout the entire course of their relationship, all we've heard about is how Eva is not interested in marrying. Then the story switched, and we heard that she might actually be proposing to him. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. Eva proposing to Ryan. Okay, let's hope that doesn't happen. But the latest news now is that she wants children, and from what I've read this week, Ryan doesn't sound like he's too interested in that. But the larger point to me here is that this is why I always tell women to never tell a man that they are not interested in marriage. Now, there are some women who really aren't interested in marriage, and then there are others who just say that they're not, so that way they don't come across as if they're dying for a commitment, even though they really are. The problem with both scenarios is that once you say this, you run the risk of a man not seeing you as a potential wife or a future long-term girlfriend, and then he ends up treating the relationship as something that's just casual. If you really don't believe in marriage, marriage and have no intention of walking down the aisle, that's fine. But just keep quiet about it. Don't do so much talking, especially in the beginning. Even if he happens to ask you about it on the first date, don't say to him, no, I have no interest in marriage. Just say something casual like, oh, who knows? I'll see when I get there. In Eva's case, though, she started out the relationship saying that she wasn't interested in marriage, and that's what she continued to say until it sounds like maybe Ryan didn't want it, and then all of a sudden she wanted it. But nevertheless, Eva still wanted it, and that's okay because people change their minds all of the time. But if Ryan doesn't want marriage or children, Eva should still leave, because it's not as if she should stay in the relationship all because she said at one point that she didn't want marriage and children. Her needs are just as important as Ryan's. The last story that I want to cover is the one that I did from yesterday about Jennifer Lopez and Casper Smart, and it's pretty well known by now that Jennifer is considered a sugar mama. And can you really blame anyone for thinking this? She threw him a lavish birthday party. She bought him a Dodge truck for his birthday. She takes him with her everywhere, and she spoils him. So of course we're going to think that she's a sugar mama. According to the tabloid, he spent $100,000 of her money, which of course begs the question as to how he was able to get his mitts on all of that money in the first place. But now Jennifer's pushing back, letting Casper know that he's not as entitled as he thinks he is. And while it's all well and good that she's finally putting her foot down, none of this should have ever happened, Jennifer. And the same goes for any other woman who thinks that it's okay to spoil a man. Even if he doesn't have $100,000 of your money to blow through, it still doesn't make it okay for you to go above and beyond for a man who is not your husband. Don't do his laundry. Don't walk his dog. Don't make him dinner all the time. Don't watch his kids every week. Because if he wants all of this out of you, he has to marry you, and until then, you're busy. It's true, you can stop spoiling him at any point. But if he notices, you might end up having an uncomfortable conversation that entails you explaining why you feel taken advantage of. And really, it's just best not to let any of this ever start. One of my readers asked me what was going on with Casper's dance career, and quite honestly, I haven't heard or read anything about him doing anything remotely active lately. Doesn't mean that he's not, just definitely means that it's not being publicized. So we'll see if Jennifer stops spending her money on him. Hopefully she does, and also hopefully she leaves this relationship, because I would really like to see her get with someone better. I've seen enough out of this guy. I'm going to end here, but you can keep up with my blog during the week at platinumgirlcelebrityblog.com. If you would like to work one-on-one with me, I offer email consultations starting at $20 for 15 minutes. Make sure to check out Ellen Fine and Sherry Schneider's latest book, Not Your Mother's Rules. Makes a great gift for all those girlfriends who are struggling with their relationships. And then my book, Text Love.Power, the ultimate girl's relationship guide for texting and dating in the new millennium. I cover 20 of the most frequently asked questions about texting and dating, so lots of good stuff in here. And finally, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you really liked it, I hope that you share it. Thank you for watching, and once again, I am your host, Vanessa Taylor, saying goodbye to you from the sunny city of Angels just outside of Tinseltown. Bye, everyone.